Okay, it's the end of the session. I'm here with my buddy Lulu. This is the first time I'm touching her. And this is her roadmap to success. Now, I'm going to start by talking about the first time I'm touching her. A lot of us, we think that petting a dog is a positive thing, which it can be, and usually it is, unless the dog doesn't want you to pet them. And so if the dog doesn't want to pet, and anything your dog is doing when you pet is what you're reinforcing. So if I pet a dog that is squirming and wants to get away, I'm rewarding it for squirming and trying to get away. I try to keep you in my lap just for a minute, if you could. And so we don't ever force a dog to be petted by somebody that they don't like, or that they're saying that I don't feel comfortable with. And a lot of times we feel pressure. We have a guest that's coming to our house, and the guest says, oh, I always wanted to pet an Alaskan Klee Kai. Oh, well, here you go. And if the dog, like I mentioned in the video above, if the dog turns its head to the side or lowers it or backs up, they're saying, I don't want you to pet me. And so what I did was I offered my hand multiple times like this, but I didn't force it. She'd come and touch my hand, and if I'd reach a little bit closer and she moved away, I pulled my hand back. The more that happens, the more the dog feels like they're listening to me. I don't have to run away in flight. And so for her, that's going to be really important, because I think she's, her breed is a little bit aloof to begin with. But the more that people kind of try to chase her and force to pet her, the more she's going to want to move away. So the more that she's relaxed, the better. All right, now she is not a super high energy dog, but she's a small breed dog, and small breed dogs are lower on the food chain. They're twitchier because they're usually closer to being a lunch. And so we started off by talking about things that the guardians can do to exercise them. The guardians right now do what most people do, is they take the dog for one walk a day. And so they get one good walk, and it's a nice 40-minute walk, hour-long walk, whatever it is. But dogs sleep, a dog her size probably sleeps anywhere from 12 to 14, 15 hours a day. When she's asleep, she's recharging her battery. So dog exercise is best if we actually sprinkle it into shorter little bits more frequently. Now, one other thing is, you can hear we have the leaf blower. Earlier we were doing the session that they were doing the shrubs and the leaf blowers and all that stuff was going on. She was a lot more leery of coming towards me than she was once that sound goes there. So if you're ever doing any exercise or activity and you notice that she's not comfortable, ask yourself, is there some other stimulus, something going on that could be a contributing factor? So basically, a lot of dogs when they have cortisol, the stress hormone in their blood, they have what we call efficiency of movement. They snap their head from here and here. I call it fidelity of movement. Instead of going snap my head like this, I kind of look, and I'm looking at everything. So usually if you see your dog snapping its head around, that's an indication that it's not in a comfortable mood. And you see it move into the point where it's kind of grooming itself, it's sitting, it's laying down, it's kind of checking out all the things in between. That's a much more relaxed body mechanic. One of the things I'd like you guys to do is get in a habit of observing Lulu's neutral body mechanics. So there's no scraping of leaf raking, or no lawn, weed eaters, or any of those things. We look at the dog, look at her ears, look at where she's carrying her head, look at her overall stiffness or looseness of her body, and look at her tail. If the tail is tucked down like it is there, that's an indication she's uncomfortable. Remember, you can amplify anything your dog is doing. So if you pet a fearful dog, you will make it more fearful. Anxious, more anxious. Excited, more excited. Jumpy, more jumpy. And the only time I don't let a dog down, I don't want to say I'm pretty much force free, but if I have a puppy or an adult dog that's wiggling and trying to protest and get away, if you let them get away, they'll actually do that more and more often. I just had this conversation with my girlfriend last night. Her dog wiggles and she lets go. And so the dog's like, this is the proper tactic. So the dog wiggles, 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 and you don't let go. But as soon as it relaxes, then you do let it go. You're teaching the dog that relaxing and surrendering is something that will get you what you want. And if you fight me, I'm going to outlast you all day long. I'm not going to do it in an abusive way, but I have to let the dog know that that technique isn't going to work, because that's a dangerous technique that can really bite you in a bad situation. Jumping out of a car window or things along those lines, and it happens. So, all right. So now if the dog is nervous, I can lay my hand on her, and they do associate touch with affection. But as soon as I start petting, I'm going to amplify whatever she's doing. We'll talk about petting with a purpose and passive training in a minute. Those are two things that actually motivate the dog to do the things that you want them to do. Now for exercise, the guardians right now are letting her walk and taking her to dog parks, and she goes on a hike, which are great. Now, when the baby comes, I would recommend that week she goes on a hike every single day. So if the baby's coming home, let's say on Friday, starting on Sunday or Monday, she should start going on those hikes. So she's got 3 or 4 days under her belt, and that's a new normal routine, and she's gonna be nice and tired when you get home. Plus, if mom's in the hospital, dad might be there most of the day, so she's not gonna get as much stimulus. So getting that exercise is really helpful. And then after the baby comes, she should still go on those hikes for about 3 to 4, really up to a week after the baby comes home. So it really puts her in a better position to succeed because she's depleted her energy. Remember, for exercise, you can set your dog up for success. So for these exercise activities, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to kind of, some of them I'd like you to do to the max until the dog won't do it anymore. For example, fetch. So I show her that I have the treat. Now I say fetch 3 times when I play fetch. As I throw the object, I say fetch. When the dog picks the object up, I say fetch, and then I have a treat here. And when the dog comes over and drops the treat, I put the treat in their mouth and say the word fetch a 3rd time. So that kind of associates all the different parts of the fetch. And after a while, you say fetch, and she knows what you mean. So the first time I do it with an empty stomach, remember, don't ever exercise her with food in her stomach. Throw that treat back and play fetch as many times as it takes until she says, you're crazy, I'm not going down there. I've fetched 48 times, I'm not doing it anymore. Now we know what her maximum number is. We won't exercise ourselves. Usually when we're exercising, we're working ourselves about 50 to 75% of that maximum number. It's when we perform that we do that 100%. So the idea is to exercise her so we know and figure out what that maximum number is, so that we can exercise her 50 to 75% of that. And that amount of exercise will vary based on the activity. Before you take her to the dog park, maybe she needs 10 fetches. And then after the activity, she gets 10 minutes of rest before we leave to go to the dog park. Or maybe before guests come over, she needs 22 fetches. Before we go for a walk, she needs 17 fetches. Before construction people come over to the house, she needs 45, whatever it is. So the idea is you play around with the number of fetches, and then you do the activity after, and then judge and kind of give her a grade at the dog park. What was her overall behavior? Was it an A? Was it a B, C? If it's anything better than A, then you might exercise a little bit more the next time before. Exercise can be an amplifier or a multiplier. It can amplify the problems that you have, or it can multiply your efforts to fix the problem, getting her enough exercise. Dogs need enough sleep, and they need a lot of enough exercise, and again, it's best sprinkled throughout the day. So fetch is a great one. You might want to get an iFetch. Get the small version. It's about 116 bucks. It's a nice little machine that is in the house. It has little ping pong sized balls. So what I do is I throw the ball, I just throw it for her first, and then when she brings it back to me, I have the machine off, and I hold the treat right over the top of the machine. If she drops the ball and it goes into the hole in the machine, then I pop the treat in her mouth and I assign a command word. Call it like Olympics, or gym class, or whatever you want to use. Use fun command words. Remember, they can read facial expressions. So all new commands. Try to come up with something funny that will motivate her now and for the rest of her life. It'll also make sure that you have the cool dog for all the friends that are going to come over as your child gets older, and children that like dogs are less likely to tease them. So really multiple benefits to use on as fun command words. So basically, let's say you say Olympics. So you throw the ball for her, she brings it back to you, hold it over the hole, she drops it and it falls in the hole, you give it a treat and say Olympics. She brings it back to you and she drops it over there. Then you pick it up and put it in the machine or throw it without giving her the treat. So she only gets paid for appropriate performance. Yes, you're gonna have to work and earn your food. And that's gonna help her self-esteem. It's also gonna help her understand that I gotta do things the human's way in order to get the treat. And if I don't do it, the humans are not asking me 12 times anymore. They're not begging me to do it. If I do it, I get a reward. If I don't do it, the humans are on to, they're reading a book or they're watching TV, they're doing something else. Playing hard to get works great for training dogs. So you create a motivation for her. All right, so another one that we could do is scent games, which is just hiding treats around. You can Google scent games, S-C-E-N-T, and then hide treats around. And every time your dog licks up, you say search, hunt, find it, whatever it is. Right now she's licking me, so I would pet her and say kisses. If I say kisses, my dogs lick me, my arms, my legs, wherever. If I say love, they lick me right here. Because when they lick me here, I say the word love. When they lick me anywhere else, I say kisses. That's passive training. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so for exercise, scent games are a nice way to hide 5 or 6 treats around the house. She's got her nose to find them. You can also use the Omega Paw Treat Ball. That's that orange video that the orange bowl I showed you. Right now, one of the guardians is on a very important Zoom call. Well, you could set your dog up for success before this. Make sure the dog gets enough a walk or some fetch exercise or whatever it is. Then they get 10 minutes to recover, then you start your Zoom call. And maybe I would have that Omega Paw Treat Ball filled up with treats. So if in the middle of my call and she comes over and starts being a nuisance, I can grab it, roll it on the ground, she lunges around the floor, and she's getting treats or kibble from it, and now I've redirected her attention and gotten her to do things that I want, and it set myself up for success so I can have my business meeting, my Zoom call, without her interrupting. Another thing you do is get the harness with the doggy backpack. You put a couple bags of sand on either side. Now she's carrying more weight. It makes the walk more efficient. Let me see. There's other things that you can do. Obviously, walks are great. Make sure you let her sniff as much as it's safe to do, as much as she wants, as long as it's safe to do so on walks. Remember, they burn more energy by sniffing than from walking. All right, so come up with the right amount of exercise, something that's appropriate, so that you can get her the right amount of exercise to set her up for success, or to set yourself up for success for your activity. We also talked about rules. Remember, for dogs, leaders are the ones who enforce rules. And dogs learn through repetition, consistency, and good timing. You have 3 seconds to correct or reward a dog for them to make the connection. If you don't enforce rules, you're not perceived to be a leader, because I don't see you burning energy by enforcing them. And remember, dogs probe looking for a no. They're expecting and waiting for somebody to eventually say no, and that's when they know what the line of limit is. They circle back around multiple times to check and make sure you're consistent. If you are, then eventually that becomes a rule. I don't go on the carpet or the couch or whatever the case may be. So if we don't have any rules, it's hard for dogs to see us as a leader. So some of the rules that I suggest, should be in place for a minimum of 90 days or as long as the problem's going on. But the rules have a reason. I'm not just saying no furniture for no reason. I'm saying no furniture because for dogs, the higher they sit, the more rank or social standing that they have amongst their peers. The leader dogs typically sit, or the higher leader dogs sit in the higher spot because they need the best vantage point. So letting dogs sit at the same height of you says that we are peers. Letting the dog sit up here on the back of the couch, some people with little dogs let them do that, kisses. That confuses them into thinking that they have more status or rank than their humans, and that causes frustration and some stress. So I would say that you're not allowed on the furniture. Yes, kisses, love. So not allowed on the furniture. Get those X mats. It makes it easier for you to enforce them. At the same time, get those the elevated dog bed. So get I just search for elevated dog bed. If you can't find it, let me know. I can show you some links. But that's the one with the posts, and it's got the netting in it. So it's not a fluffy dog bed. It's kind of almost like a hammock in a frame. And so that way, most dogs don't chew that one. That way you have one outside, you want to have one inside. So that way she has a place to hang out. If you're hanging out in the deck, she has a place to sit without being on the day bed. All right, yes, I see you're protesting a little bit. Cutie. All right, so other rules, you have to sit at the door. Pick some times during the day. During your Zoom meeting, leave the door open. But at other times, close that door. Go to the door, tell her to sit once. If she doesn't sit within 3 seconds, walk away, sit down. Make sure you sit down. Wait 1 minute. After 1 minute, go back to the door and command her again. Only has one opportunity to do it right. If she doesn't do it right, then I'd sit down next time for 2 minutes, then for 4 minutes, and 8 minutes. Keep doubling the length of time. And as soon as she sits, you open the door and let her out. But if she doesn't sit, I can't be bothered to open the door for you. Eventually, that motivates her to sit at the door as a way of asking to go out. Now, you wanted to use a bell. The guardian asked about doing a bell because they sometimes can't see her when she's sitting at the door. So what you do is you get a jingle bells. That's usually one of the bells we can find. When she's outside peeing or pooping, we gently ring it. And we try to ring it the same way that she would ring. She's not going to go da-da-da-da. She's going to go da-ding, da-ding. So when she's out peeing or pooping, you go da-ding, 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 while she's peeing or pooping. When she gets done, you put a treat in her mouth, and then while she's chewing it, you say da-ding, da-ding, 1 or 2 or 3 times while she's chewing it. So now we associate with the action of eliminating with the sound of the ding, and then the sound of the ding associated with me getting a reward. Then what we do is we hang it, and I would have one in each room in the house that she hangs out in. So she can go to any room and nudge it. Doesn't have to be near the door. It just means I want to go outside. She can do that from anywhere. But then when you go to the door, she has to sit before you open the door and let her out. Now, I have another video on my website, and once you get her to sit at the door, message me, and I can share a video on how to teach her how to wait while you open the door to get permission to go outside the door. Also should be allowed to be within the kitchen, in the kitchen when you're cooking, or around you when you're eating. So I would maybe make the deck off limits while you're eating. And you can come and go as much as you want, unless we're eating, then you're not allowed to be on the deck. You use the same technique and those escalating consequences I showed you in the office/baby nursery to teach her to stay out of the room. And if you forget how to do that, if you go to my website and search for the word invisible or kitchen, there'll be videos that show how to do just that. And message me if you can't find them. I'm here for you. All right, we also talked about petting with a purpose and passive training. Petting with a purpose. If she comes up and nudges us, she's telling us what to do. If she jumps up on us, that's claiming us, and we pet her, and then we say, yes, I belong to you. So next time she nudges you or barks at you or paws at you for attention, give her a counter order and tell her to sit. Now, these guys are very determined. They do it the way that they want to do, so it's going to be who blinks first. So you tell her to sit, she's not going to sit, and then you just show her, I have 18 other things that I could be doing for fun. After a while, she recognizes it's not bothering the humans that I'm not doing what they want. They just went on to something else. I'm the one missing out. It'll take a lot of repetition though. So again, you tell her one time to sit. She has 3 seconds to sit. If she doesn't sit, then show her you got something else to do. Live your best life. After a while, she'll recognize if I want something of humans, I have to ask, and better than ask, I have to pay them for the privilege of their attention. And I pay for it through a currency of obedience. And she'll start coming and sitting in front of you to prepay for that attention. If she's already sitting here, tell her to sit over here, or tell her to lie down. And if she doesn't get any attention. If she does, she gets attention. Now, whenever possible, try to get in a habit of petting her under her chin. Remember, a proud, confident dog has her nose up. Insecure has nose down. Petting on top of the chin, you saw how she ducked her head there. So all things being equal, pet her under her chin. You can pet her anywhere you want, except for here. Basically, if she does what you want, then she gets petted. If she doesn't sit or doesn't lie down, then she doesn't get that attention. This will, after a while, this makes your pets more valuable. It increases her respect for you as an authority figure. She's asking versus telling. It's boosting her confidence because she's earning that affection. And what else is she doing? She's earning the rewards that we're giving her, having to practice sit, down, come. She doesn't always want to listen. Well, she's going to have to start doing those sort of things to get your attention. So that petting with a purpose is if you want to pet the dog or the dog wants you to pet it. Now remember to use the watchword of paycheck. If I say paycheck to someone, that means I suspect you're petting without a purpose. And so that person says, stop petting, even if they did it right. Tell the dog to sit. If she sits, pet her on the chin, say sit. Actually, thank you for reminding me because I do forget to pet the verse. But that time I flushed when you flushed the toilet, I stood up, she stood up, and I continued petting her. Even if you got it right, still stop petting. And it just gives you another opportunity to practice. Now the flip side of that is what I call passive training, which is rewarding the dog when it organically or on its own offers you the behavior that you like. Every time she brings you looks like a little Scooby-Doo doll, say Scooby-Doo and pet her. Every time she brings you another one, name all your individual toys. Every time she comes to you, pet her and say come. Every time she sits, pet her and say sit. Every time she lays down, pet her and say crash or chill. Every time she goes to the dog bed, say the command word for going to the dog bed. The more you do this, the more she's going to be interested in doing that. Now, I'm going to leave a clicker with you. I'd like you to also click for looks, or just if she looks at you, pet her and say eyes or focus or attention or whatever the word is that means to look at me. And at the dog park, every time she comes to you, pull out a treat, give her that treat and say come, or pet her, and then let her go back to playing. So you're rewarding her for coming to you and checking in, and then make sure that before you grab the leash, that you're doing that, and that last time she comes, you give her a treat, give her one for coming, and then maybe drop one. She drops one, you kind of hook her collar with your finger, and then give her another treat. So coming to me equals 3 treats. Yes, 3 treats. And be careful of the other dogs. Don't ever give another dog a treat at the dog park because they'll have them all sweating you. So if even one, you're trying to be nice, it'll just backfire. You're really not supposed to give out treats at the dog park, but you can for your own dog as long as you're quiet and sneaky about it. And then after a while, she's just more inclined to come to you because coming to my humans means that I get her attention from them. And so after a while, she'll just start coming to you more and more often, especially when you do the passive training or celebrating here. So every time she comes to you, pet her and say come. Even if she's just walking by, pet her back and say come as she walks by. And remember to use the watchword of celebrate. So if somebody sees that I'm standing here, I'm looking this way, and she comes and walks up and sits here, and I don't see it, somebody says celebrate, I look at the dog, and I start petting, and I say whatever she's doing. If she's standing, I would assume she came, I pet her and say come. If she's sitting, that's pretty obvious. Laying down, pretty obvious. Yes, squirming. We're not going to come up with a command word for squirming, though. Yes. Okay. So celebrate and passive training work really well if you get in a habit of doing them. It'll take you about 2 months to get in the habit of doing them. Now, the Guardian also asked me to go over some of the things that I like dogs to have. I like dogs to have at least 20 toys. Right now, she's got about 12. So go to Amazon or Chew and get a plethora of a whole bunch of other toys. Get her some chew toys especially. And the chew toys come in different shapes and sizes and flavors. Get her chicken, get her barbecue, get her bacon. And so coming up with those different things, and don't give her all at once, put it on her dog bed. So every day I go to the dog bed, there's a treat there. Remember, I have that video for the dog bed. If she won't go there on command, it's really easy to get her to go there. Yes, I know it's hot, but we're almost done with this video, I promise. One of the things I get from my dogs is a water buffalo horn. It usually will outlast the dog. It will smell funky for about a week or two when they're licking it, but after a while the smell goes away, so maybe keep it outside for a little while. But eventually that's a good, proper thing for her to chew on. When they get stressed, they need to chew. So I would recommend that you get a bag of Bully Bites. The ones I get are from The Natural Dog Company. They are odor-free or low odor. They're more expensive, but there's a reason they're more expensive, because they drain the blood and urine out of it when they sever the member. So I would recommend you have those. And remember, we're going to also give her the drop command. So when she's got an object in her mouth, we're going to quietly pull out a treat. And you might want to get a little treat pouch like this. So quietly hold out a treat, hold it in front of her mouth. When she drops the object, don't show any interest in the object. Put the treat in her mouth, say the word drop, and then don't pick the object up. Now, if she's got your shampoo or underwear or shoe or something she's not allowed to have, you have two treats. You hold one up, she drops the shoe, you put it in her mouth and say drop, then show her you have the second one and roll it up over there. She goes over there to get it, and then you pick up the shoe. But remember, you have to trade her. So if you take something away from her, you have to give her a bully stick. I know I'm telling him right now. You got to give her a bully stick or something else. One of my dog's favorite things are cow kneecaps. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at most high-end pet stores. I saw that there was a rawhide that somebody gives the guardians here. Rawhides. Rawhides are soaked in formaldehyde, bleach, ammonia, a lot of other nasty chemicals. So I would never. They also get stuck in the digestive tract. So I have bully sticks, things like that. You can get cow cheeks that look like rawhides. They're fine. There's something called no hide, which my dogs really love. Tracheas, cow's ears. There's all sorts of different stuff that you can get that are edibles, and that'll be things that the dog really wants to get. So go to Amazon and get some of those, or high-end pet store and get some of those chewables, so you have something you can trade if you need to. We went over a leave it exercise, and because it was a little bit late in the session, she might, if you have trouble, we went through it, but you weren't able to practice as much as I normally like. So if you have difficulty with that one, let me know and I can share a video on how to teach her to leave things on command. That way, if she tries to go, you put the shampoo or whatever is in the middle of the room, she shows interest and looks at you, say leave it, she leaves alone, and you give her a treat. So instead of hiding things, we make it more accessible when we can supervise. And then when she does leave it alone, then she gets a reward. And after a while, she's more motivated. Leaving the trash alone or the shampoo gets me something that I want, so I'm happy to do that. And if I have it and my humans ask me to drop, they're going to hook me up with something better than I have. Now, make sure that when you're feeding her, that you're eating something first. And I would recommend feeding her out of, at least some of her meals, out of the Omega Paw treat ball and out of a snuffle mat. Yes, you're getting Miss Wiggle Butt, so we better wrap this one up. Now, if you have questions on the stuff we went over or anything else, let me know. Remember, when the baby comes, when you get your baby shower, start putting the lotions and ointments once a day on your forearms or somewhere, and so she gets used to, the smell of those things without the baby present. And the last thing is to introduce the scent to the baby. So what I do is I would have you have a nurse bring a towel or something that's clean, ask the nurse or get one at the hospital, have her wipe the baby down. Doesn't have to have afterbirth, just wipe the baby down so it has a scent, both sides, and then have them put in a Ziploc bag. Then you come home, what you do is I can't do it because I have one hand behind my back, but I would have, this hand is behind my back with the towel, this hand is behind my back with the treats. So I would swing the towel up, she sniffs it, I would pull that hand back down, and then the other hand comes up, I give her a treat, and I would say the baby's name. And do that for about 5 or 10, probably about 10 treats. Do it in different parts of your house. Do it in the deck, over there on the deck, all over the place, and in the house in different areas, except for the baby room, where she's never ever going to go in there. And now, by the time the baby comes, you do want to do this about 2 or 3 days before the baby comes, about 5 or 6 times a day, with about 10 treats each time. By the time the baby comes, you say the baby's name, and she's like, holy cow, that means I'm going to get a lot of treats. Now, we also went over an exit command. So what I do is if I want her to exit, let's say that I'm at the dinner table, and I don't want her to be close to us, because that's one of the rules. She shouldn't be within 7 feet of us while we're eating. I know, I'm tired too. So what I do is I throw the treat just outside the boundary while she watches. Dog's eyes are very attractive to me. She sees me throw it, she looks at it, she runs out and gets it, and I say the word out. Then she comes back in, I would throw it into the doorway. I usually do 2 outs for each doorway. Then I go to the kitchen, throw them out of the kitchen twice, go to the bedroom, the den, the bathroom, all the rooms. Then what I do is I go in the hallway and throw it into the office. And when she goes in the office, I say the word office, bedroom, kitchen, and so on. So I'm essentially creating a command word to exit every room, as well as a command word to go to every room. And that's really helpful because that way we can direct her to leave and go to a specific place without having to pick her up and take her there. Use that passive training for feeding her. So if you like chimichangas or sushi or pasta or meatball, whatever it is, when she takes her first bite of food for like 3 months, say meatball. Every time she takes that first bite of food, just say it once. And be careful how you say it. Dogs hear inflection. So if you say meatball, see how she was looking at me? But later on, if I say meatball, that's going to be a completely different word. So the idea is come up with a command word. Every time she drinks water, say agua or happy hour or Merlot, whatever your favorite cocktail is, and you say Merlot, and she goes and drinks her water. Is it important to do that? Not unless you're on a hike and there's a stream here and there's not going to be a stream for 3 miles. You need to be able to tell her to do it. That's easy. Just say agua every time she drinks her water, and eventually it becomes a command word. Let me see. Is there anything else that we want to go over? Remember to look at, like I said, her overall body mechanics. So you can see her mouth is open right now. This is a nice, relaxed body mechanic. Usually before, when a dog does something that they don't like, they're going to be like, they're going to close their mouth, you're going to get still, and they're going to get stiff. Dogs are normally wiggly and jiggly. So if you see that she suddenly gets stiff, she's probably uncomfortable. Let her move away from the thing if you can. And if you need to, you can touch her, and they do say that touch with affection, but as soon as you start petting, again, you'll make it worse. All right, now if you have any questions on the stuff we went over or anything else, I want you to let me know. If I don't hear from you, I assume that means everything's going great. I have thousands of videos, like I talked about earlier, that I can share with you. So if you have any problems with anything else that we went over, I don't charge for phone calls or texts. I want you to reach out to me and I can share videos with you. Probably could help you without having to come back. Now, if I did need to come back for a follow-up session, I charge for my time, but I don't see anything here that probably is going to necessitate that. But you will have questions. Don't hesitate. Text them to me because I'm here for you. All right, well, this is Lulu, and this is Lulu's Roadmap to Success. Kisses. One other thing that I forgot. So right now, I mean, she wanted to get away multiple times, and again, I just don't ever let a dog go and sniff when it's wiggling. But right here, you know, having her on somebody's lap, now if she's protesting trying to get up and she doesn't like the person, that's different, but I was here for a couple hours. The guardian put her on my lap and she was relaxed. This is good practice for her to be on somebody's lap. Now, if every time they pet her, she goes like this and moves her head away, that's her way of saying, I don't like this. So maybe you just want to have her just practice be on this person's lap. And if she really doesn't like it, maybe you just have the person give her treats. Better yet, it'd probably be better to smash the treat. And so like we were doing the video, so she gets practice in nibbling on these treats when guests come over. Did I not smash that enough? Here they go. Oh, maybe you're dropping pieces of it. So she gets used to, and if it's too much, then just hold it out and let her just take it. And right now she's saying, I'm done with it. So in order to force the issue, she doesn't want to do it, that's fine. All right, well, like I said, this is Lulu, and this is Lulu's Roadmap to Success. You are a cutie. Thank you for the love. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.